The cracked glass. The mirror hung askew, a jagged fissure splitting its surface like a scar on an otherwise smooth face. An antique inherited from a grandmother I barely knew, a relic from a past shrouded in mystery. Its ornate frame, once silver, was now tarnished, consumed by time and neglect, a testament to years of abandonment. But the frame wasn't what drew my attention. It was the light, a light that seemed to have a life of its own. A faint, ethereal glow emanated from the crack, pulsing softly in the otherwise darkened room like a heartbeat in the silence. I knew I should have covered it, boarded it up, done anything to hide it from view, anything to avoid its hypnotic pull, the way it seemed to call out to me, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. Yet, I found myself drawn to its fractured reflection, my own fear-widened eyes staring back, as if the mirror held a piece of my soul. Each night, the glow intensified, and the crack seemed to widen like a gaping maw threatening to swallow me whole, consuming my very essence. One night, a chilling realization gripped me, a cold hand squeezing my heart. The terror wasn't in the reflection. It was deeper, more insidious. It was what lurked behind it, a presence that felt ancient and malevolent, watching me from the other side. The faint glow pulsed with an alien rhythm, the heartbeat of something ancient and malevolent, trapped just beyond the glass, waiting for the right moment to break free. I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest, knowing that whatever was behind that glass was not of this world. I closed the door to the room, hoping to shut out the terror, but the glow seeped through the cracks, a constant reminder of the horror that lay within. I sat in the dark, the faint glow from under the door a haunting presence, knowing that the cracked glass held a secret I was not ready to uncover. Whispers from beyond. The whispers started subtly, like a distant echo in the back of my mind. Mere figments of my imagination, I told myself. Just the mind playing tricks, I reassured. The house settling, the wind whistling through the eaves, all seemed normal at first. But the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent with each passing night. They became impossible to ignore. They spoke of forgotten lore, of ancient pacts and forbidden knowledge, secrets that should have remained buried. Their voices, a chorus of disharmony, wormed their way into my dreams, transforming them into vivid nightmares. Sleep offered no escape, only more torment. My waking hours became a blur of paranoia and unease. Every creak, every shadow seemed to harbor a hidden threat. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision. Objects moved inexplicably, as if guided by unseen hands. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. It felt as though the very atmosphere was closing in on me. My reflection in the cracked mirror no longer resembled me. It was as if the darkness had seeped into my very being. My eyes were hollow, haunted, reflecting the darkness that had taken root in my soul. The whispers had changed me, and there was no turning back. Dancing shadows. The line between reality and hallucination blurred. The shadows that danced at the periphery of my vision solidified, taking on grotesque and terrifying forms. They writhed and contorted, their eyes burning with a cold, malevolent light. They whispered my name, their voices dripping with malice and temptation. One shadow, larger and more menacing than the others, began to dominate. It spoke of power, of forbidden knowledge, of the ability to transcend the limitations of my mortal shell. It promised me everything I ever desired at a price I was too far gone to comprehend. The entities. The shadows coalesced, transforming into distinct entities, each more horrifying than the last. Creatures of pure darkness, their forms shifting and pulsating, their eyes burning with an unholy light. They promised me power, knowledge, and a glimpse into the void beyond our reality. All they asked for in return was my sanity. One entity, taller and more imposing than the others, stepped forward. Its voice, a deep, resonant growl, seemed to emanate from the depths of my own being. It introduced itself as Amon, a gatekeeper, a collector of souls. He offered me a choice: embrace the darkness and become one with the entities, or resist and face the consequences. Fear warred with a growing sense of fascination. The darkness around me seemed to pulse with a life of its own, drawing me in despite my better judgment. The entities, though terrifying, exuded an intoxicating aura of power. Their presence was overwhelming, a mix of dread and allure that was impossible to ignore. Their whispers promised a release from the mundane, an escape from the confines of my own existence. They spoke of secrets and truths beyond human comprehension, tempting me with forbidden knowledge. But deep down, a sliver of sanity remained, clinging desperately to the remnants of my former self. I tried to resist. The struggle within me was fierce, a battle between the desire for power and the need to hold on to my humanity. I boarded up the mirror, but the entities seeped through the cracks, their whispers echoing in my mind. No matter how hard I tried to shut them out, they found a way in, their voices growing louder and more insistent. I tried to seek help, but my words sounded like the ravings of a madman. No one could understand the torment I was experiencing, the relentless assault on my sanity. My friends and family turned away, their eyes filled with fear and pity. They couldn't see the entities, couldn't hear the whispers, and so they thought I was losing my mind. I was alone, trapped in a waking nightmare with no escape. The isolation was suffocating, the darkness closing in around me as the entities continued their relentless pursuit. My last stand for sanity was slipping away, and I feared I would be lost forever. Through the looking glass, the mirror called to me. The boarded-up surface pulsed with an unnatural light, the whispers growing louder, more insistent. Amon's voice echoed in my head, promising me power, knowledge, and an end to my torment. All I had to do was surrender. One night I cracked. Drawn by an irresistible force, I tore down the boards, ripping my hands on the splintered wood. The mirror hummed with dark energy, the crack glowing brighter than ever before. My reflection stared back at me, no longer a pale imitation, but a grotesque mockery of my former self. Emergence. The air crackled with energy. The temperature in the room plummeted, sending a shiver down my spine. My reflection reached out from the mirror, its long, sharp fingers brushing against mine. A wave of terror washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by a strange sense of anticipation. Then it began to emerge. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed, Amon pulled himself from the mirror. His form, once shadowy and indistinct, solidified into a terrifying reality. His eyes, burning like hot coals, bored into mine, and I felt my will dissolving, my resistance crumbling into dust. A new dawn. I woke with a gasp, my body bathed in sweat. The room was silent, save for the soft chirping of birds outside my window. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting the room in a warm, comforting glow. For a moment I allowed myself to believe it was over, a horrific nightmare fading with the dawn. But as I sat up in bed, my gaze fell upon the mirror across the room. The crack, once a hairline fracture, now spanned the entire surface, splitting the glass in two. And staring back at me with a cold, triumphant smile was not my reflection, but the entity Amon. No escape. The terror that gripped me was unlike anything I had ever experienced. It wasn't the fear of the unknown, but the chilling realization that I was no longer myself. Amon's presence permeated my being, his thoughts intertwined with my own. I was trapped, my mind and soul irrevocably bound to his. He leaned closer, his voice a raspy whisper in my ear. "We are one now." he hissed, his smile widening, "and there is no escape." As I stared into his eyes, glowing with malevolent triumph, I knew with chilling certainty that he was right. The nightmare was real, and it was only just beginning.